Population dynamics. A population is a group of organisms of the same species living in an area. If you recall, a species is a group of organisms that can reproduce and produce fertile offspring. Fertile offspring means that, for example, two elephants will produce baby elephants. Those baby elephants can then grow up to produce their own baby elephants. Population is regulated by four things: natality, which is birth rate; mortality, the death rate; immigration, the organisms that are coming into an area; and emigration, which are organisms that are leaving an area. You should be able to know or make inferences as to what can cause an organism to immigrate or emigrate out of an area. There are two types of populations. The first type is an open population. In an open population, the factors that can affect the population would be birth rate, death rate, immigration, and emigration. So for example, a city's population, in terms of Brampton, you'd have births, deaths, you have people coming into the city, and then you also have people leaving the city. Whereas the second type of population, your closed population, that is when only births and death can affect the actual size. It's not like we can hop on Planet Express and go to another planet. We can't immigrate to another planet, and aliens fortunately cannot emigrate into our planet. There are limits to population, so there are limits to how large a population can get. There's something called a carrying capacity. A carrying capacity is the maximum number of individuals that an ecosystem can support without harming the environment. If you're looking at that graph there, what you'll notice is there's this plateau. So what happens with a population is generally you have a low amount of organisms. And then because there are so many resources available, the population will increase rapidly. And eventually it'll kind of stabilize, and that will be your carrying capacity because your environment can only support a certain number of individuals. An equilibrium is reached when the number of individuals stay the same over time. So the number of births equals the number of deaths. One of the biggest issues facing population today is regarding human population growth. Ever since the Industrial Revolution, we've experienced an exponential growth. And the question we need to ask ourselves is, are we getting close to the Earth's carrying capacity? Will we even be able to realize the effects of our population growth on the environment? Will we be able to make a difference, or are we going to be too late? One thing that influences population growth is biotic potential. Biotic potential is the maximum number of offspring that a species could produce if resources were unlimited. So you need to consider birth potential. How many offspring are there produced within every single birth? For humans, generally it's 1, maybe 2, 3 or more. It gets really rare. Capacity for survival. What are the chances of it surviving? Say, for example, you have fish, right? Fish lay lots of eggs. They have a lot of offspring. Their birth potential is very high per birth. However, not all of those eggs will survive. Whereas, say for example, a panda bear might have 1 offspring, but it has a greater chance of survival, that one. So there's kind of a trade-off, whether you have a lot of offspring per birth and a lower capacity of survival versus a smaller amount of offspring but have a greater chance for survival. Procreation is another factor that influences biotic potential. How many times per year do these animals procreate? And then also, on that same note, how long is their reproductive life? Or how long will it take for them to actually get to the point where they can reproduce? Example being horseshoe crabs. It can take them 9 to 10 years to even reach sexual maturity. The environment is another limiting factor. It can prevent populations from attaining their biotic potential. Remember abiotic factors? Things like sunlight, air, water, soil. The conditions of those few things can result in either high population growth or low population growth. Natural disturbances like storms, fires, droughts, and even human disturbances can also affect the biotic potential of both plants and animals. Biotic factors like competition amongst organisms for resources, the existence of predators, the existence of disease-causing organisms, and an organism's reliance on another organism for survival are all limiting factors that can affect the population of an environment. Last but not least, we've got a population graph. What I want you to do is look at the graph, note all of the trends in this predator-prey relationship, and explain what the graph is showing, and we'll take it up tomorrow in class.